Hello.
Hang on, Don. All right. Let me turn on the app. There we go. I don't know what happened there, but I don't know if it was you that froze originally, or you did on my computer anyways. But then I actually lost
Hey,
my connection.
you froze on mine.
Yeah, well, I ended up losing my connection actually. So at least I flipped
Yeah.
off, flipped back on, and got that going. So we're good to go there, thank God. I can't remember where we were at. We were talking about
Well, I think I
oh,
was talking about Trey Flowers and just the fact that in on that Monday night broadcast he had those hands to the face penalties. They stated that he had never had a hands to the face penalty in New England the whole time there.
right.
How's that possible? Now he comes to Detroit, he does the same exact move that he had done for years in New England, and all of a sudden he's getting penalized for it. So that kind of tells me that, when you bring in a guy like that that's successful in one place that never gets called for penalties because he's in that one place probably,
That game
you
wasn't
know,
in Green Bay, wasn't it?
it was in Green Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was unusual to see Green Bay with their white jerseys, but I seems kept going back to me. That game was actually in Green Bay. Um, you know what?
Yeah. Yep.
Home teams do get calls sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but look at the pass interference
But
rules that have happened. And
yeah, that
I,
that game.
I think it is shitty. It is a shitty thing for them, but if we go back and look at the last quarter of that game in particularly, the Lions stopped moving the ball. I mean, they just stopped moving the ball. And I don't know if that was, offensive coordinator issue or if it was just that the defense actually stepped up enough that they prevented the Lions from doing what they wanted to do. I don't really know.
Could be.
But we see that too often with Detroit,
Right.
that they have a hell of a game going. They're doing well. Or like in that game, first three possessions, boom, 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 move right down the field, and they end up with 2 field goals.
Yeah, Prater kicked 5 field goals that game.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
you can't win kicking field goals. I'm sorry.
Right.
Unless you got Baltimore's defense from back in the Super Bowl heyday. So
I agree. But who knows? All right, so let's kind of wrap up on that part a little bit. You mentioned a possibility of 10 to 12 wins. Now, I would love to see that because that means we are in the playoffs for the first time in since Caldwell days. Okay,
yeah,
so that would be very, very nice. However, I got to throw it out there that I don't trust uh, the fat boy. There's just no way I trust him as a coach.
well,
I mean, I hope they do because, I mean, even though I bitch about the Lions and Quinn and Patricia, I love my Lions. I do
yeah,
want to see them do well. I mean, I do not want to break a television this year or something along those lines. I'd much rather turn around and have happy drunk afternoons watching the Lions win a ball game.
when you look at the
So,
schedule, I really don't see. I think Green Bay will be tough because you can't count Rodgers out. Okay, you can never count Rodgers out. But other than the Saints, I don't see anybody on our schedule that is not beatable. Okay, the Saints I think are in a different league, but they're year to year also. The last 2 years they played well and gotten screwed in the playoffs, or they, you know, got knocked out late in the playoffs. So they're right on the cusp. If they can stay healthy this year again, if they can, continue to play as well as they do on defense, you can't ever count Drew Brees out. So if he's playing well, then they're going to be decent again. They're going to be tough to beat. But other than that, you look at that schedule. I just don't see. I don't see opponents on there where I say there's no way we're going to beat these guys. Like last year, I thought there's
I
no way
thought
we're
we had a
beating.
lot more wins too.
Well, I thought last year there's no way we're beating Kansas City. I thought we were going to have. I thought we were going to have a hell of a time against the Chargers last year. But we beat them. So you just never know.
I was
So,
actually at the Charger game last year,
oh, okay.
although I did leave early in the third quarter to go to MGM Grand to watch the rest of it in the bar. But it was
Well, I
only
think
about,
when you do look at some of the tough games on our schedule, I mean they're all tough. Obviously, they're all NFL guys, but when you look at the ones like, or what I was saying, the Saints, we're at home against the Saints.
Yeah.
You got a possible future Hall of Fame quarterback in Phillip Rivers coming in November 1st with the Colts. Okay, so we're at home there too. So then you flip to the second half of the
We've
schedule.
actually got Texas at home too.
The Texans, yes, we're at home there, and then Tampa. If everyone, Tampa's going to be the Super Bowl champ, like everyone's already anointing them. We got them at home also. So, I think our really tough games this year are going to be at home. So I'm happy about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really complain. To me, something about Atlanta this year. I just feel Atlanta's coming back. They drafted
They're an up and down team, but they're usually tough.
Yeah, and I mean, they were devastated with injuries last year, and their their coach is on the hot seat. So either they do something this year, or he and their general manager are done.
Sure.
From what I've been hearing, so we got that going there. Okay, let's just kind of flip over to this idea of the guy that had the question about Lions not getting any primetime games this year.
Okay.
Other than Thanksgiving Day. And this goes back to something we discussed a little bit earlier about the fact that in hearing that the Fox, CBS, and NBC, they get a lot of considerations from the NFL because they put in some matchups they would like to see.
Right.
Knowing that ahead of time, they know what division is going to play which division or whatever the case may be. So, they put some things in there, and you can understand that. I mean, I can from a network standpoint, knowing they're selling advertising, and let's face it, the NFL is the best possible advertising means that there is in television.
Sure.
So I understand that. And you think back to last year, I think Detroit had either 4 or 5 primetime games. And a lot of that was the hype of, a new season, the Lions winning 6 games in the first year under Patricia, that maybe they were going to make that jump or whatever. And I think after it was seen how woeful they were during the course of last year, that it scared off the major, networks from wanting anything to do with the Lions at night or at a primetime game, because that's even the 4:00 games. They're not getting the primetime game in.
Yeah, I mean it's a ratings thing, it's a money thing. The Lions aren't, it's kind of like, I'm speaking, I guess, for people that are not Lions fans. You're probably not a Bengals fan. Do you want to see the Bengals play?
No.
I'd like to see Joe Burrow probably.
Well, and I'm sure we will.
Or Cleveland, who the hell wants to see Cleveland play, or Arizona?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, there was a lot of games last year I turned off Detroit and watched Cleveland.
Oh, really?
I mean, I was just so disappointed and disgusted with Detroit. It's like, God damn it, let me at least watch and Landry and, see what they might do,
Right, but that's not saying much. I'm sure a lot of people turned off their TVs last year to watch the Shopping Network or something.
Yeah, true. But anyways, I can kind of see that. But I went back to the idea of Thanksgiving because of the guy bitching about the Thanksgiving game being the only game that they had. And I remember a few years ago, they were talking about taking away the Thanksgiving game from Detroit. And,
and you'll hear that talk again this year, I'm sure.
Right, yeah. And, I hope not, because it is a tradition. And I think now, after all these years, they came up with the right scenario where they've got the Lions having a game, Dallas having a game, and then you've got other teams that play for that night game on NBC.
Yeah.
So, and the way they've got it worked out, Fox and CBS, they swap back who's going to have the national game because of whoever has the American Conference team will be on CBS, and whoever, Fox then is going to have a game that'll be Fox and, NFC. So right. I like that. And I don't think that's going to change. But if you look at the records in reality, and I know that the Lions have many more games. I mean, we've got 78. We've got 80 games in the Detroit or Thanksgiving Day that as a sample for the Lions, but their overall record is 37, 41, and 2.
Sure.
So the home field advantage there is not really something that sticks out to you. Dallas, on the other hand, has played 52 games, and they're at least 31 and 20, 31, 20, and 1 during their games there. So, there's and to me, they're entrenched. They're not going to lose that game.
Well, you talking about Dallas again, and I'm leaving. So
okay, all right.
I'm just kidding.
But
hey,
then
man, I get it, and it's again, it's all about the ratings and stuff like that. But I think that the NFL understands, the league understands that there is so much tradition behind the Thanksgiving Day game in Detroit that.
And I think Dallas too. To be honest with you, I mean, for us that are here in Michigan, and even to be honest with you, when I lived on the West Coast, I mean, I really look forward to getting up and having a 9 o'clock game in the West Coast with the Lions on, because many times it's the only time I got a chance to see the Lions.
Sure.
But right. I'd be watching the game, and then about halftime, I'd be trying to cram my turkey together and stuff like that, just to get it kind of prepped, and then be able to watch the end of the game, and maybe run in and throw it in the oven, maybe closer to noon or something along those lines. But I really missed them, and I enjoyed them being on television, and especially being on the West Coast, because hell, it was great being in the West Coast anyways, because your regular games started at 10 o'clock in the morning. So by 4 in the afternoon, you could go hit the beach or do whatever. We're here. Once it hits October and the time changes, hell, it's dark at 6. So we don't really get a chance to do that. But when they came up with that the night game for Thanksgiving, it seems like it was longer to me, but it's only been since 2006. And since 2012, I found this interesting, that the I don't want to say pre-emphasis, but the emphasis is on for the night game to be divisional rivals only playing in that game. And I like that idea. I mean, that's like having something else, like the old days. You're a little bit younger than me, but I can remember like almost every Thanksgiving game was either going to be against Chicago, Green Bay, or Minnesota. Right. And that was always kind of fun, because you had those, that divisional confrontations and stuff like that. So I really do like that.
Right. Yeah, I like it. And it gives these other teams,
some exposure.
I'm sorry?
Some exposure.
Yeah, some exposure, gives them a chance to play on prime time, gives them a chance to play on Thanksgiving and all that stuff. But I will say this. I've been to maybe one Thanksgiving Day game in all my time as a fan and as a ticket holder. Been to one game on Thanksgiving, and I hated it. I absolutely hate it, because I'll tell you what, everyone likes getting presents at Christmas time and presents on their birthday, and there's special days to everybody. Everyone's got their own special days, special holidays. Thanksgiving is mine. I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays, and when I had to spend it at the stadium, this was back when the Silverdome, when they played in the Silverdome.
I was going to say, that's the only time I went to a Thanksgiving Day game was at the Silverdome.
And I love that the Lions have their slot on Thanksgiving. I love it. Yeah. I love the tradition of it and all that stuff, but I just hated going to the games.
Yeah, I agree.
I wanted to be home, so just it's funny to hear me say that, actually, because I love going to those games. Right. So it's just the Thanksgiving one I can do without.
I mean, the only reason that I ever went to that game and Thanksgiving back then was I was still in high school at the time, dating a girl that had just lost a sister. She was a senior at Michigan State University and died of cancer.
Oh boy.
Her and her brother were like really down in the dumps. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I ended up coming across tickets for the Thanksgiving Day game, and her parents were not doing well losing their daughter either. Don't get me wrong, okay? But I thought it would be good to get them out of there and stuff like that. But I had a miserable time. I really did. I mean, just I would much rather have been sitting in their living room or in our living room, and, at home watching the game rather than being down there. But I just tried to give them some kind of diversion to get them out of the house.
Right.
But I really didn't have a good time, and I don't mind going to a regular season game anytime else. Actually, I like going to a Monday night game. I really do.
I love Monday night games.
Other than the fact that you almost got to spend the night for me, because I'm going to have a few beverages, and it's a long ride home by the time you get out of the parking lot and everything else. But yeah, I'd rather see it at home, and I enjoy the Thanksgiving deal with it now, and I can remember as a kid that our Thanksgiving was around a black and white little TV. And then my grandparents were the first people in the family that got a colored television. So we were all there, to watch the game there. And, we didn't eat dinner till the game was over, so I miss those days.
Right. I hear you.
Those days. Before we wrap up, I ended up doing a podcast the other night because I jumped on line and went into the NFL.com site where I have a number of fantasy football leagues and found out that they opened up the fantasy season already.
Okay.
So I turned around and activated all my old leagues and got that squared away. And I created a new one for this, the Dying of Detroit Lions Fan 1. And I figure I'm going to try and do fantasy from the people in this. And let me get your idea on this. I like the idea of having the Zoom that we have here, because whenever we've had fantasy leagues before, you're trying to play tag email-wise occasionally, or sending a group email, or whatever the case may be. And I'm thinking this could be cool as hell to be able to have a 12-man league. And I told you already, I'm going to get the step-up package for this, so I can have multiple people for more than 30 minutes.
Sure.
To do a recording. And I think it'd be great to turn around and be able to have a league meeting, like once a month or whatever the case may be, to kind of talk about things in the league, discuss trades rather than turning around trying to do them online. And you got somebody that doesn't pay no attention to it, or doesn't get to their mail till the weekend, so it's too late to make a trade that's going to take effect during the week.
Right.
I think it would be a lot of fun to do. What do you think about something like that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. So,
do you play fantasy football at all?
No, I usually play the single day.
Yeah.
Things usually is what I play.
I do that too.
Used to play, the season-long leagues in the past, but I haven't lately. So.
Well, maybe we can talk to you into playing this year.
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, most of my leagues have got long-time players. They've been multiple years.
Sure.
I used to have, when we had the bar open, we used to do a draft in the bar, hand do the draft with the draft board and names and all that kind of stuff like that. And I still have a few of those original guys from back in like the mid 90s, I want to say, that are still playing with us. Okay. But we're all getting up in age, definitely. But, we've lost some just because of mortality. But I think this would be a lot of fun to do, do it this way. Back in those days, we used to do it for money, where we would put in, $50 to $75 a piece, and we'd pay off like, first and second, third place.
Sure.
Since I've been doing this stuff online, I really haven't did money because I don't like the fact that it's too hard to get everybody's money in. I think there's one site, I think Yahoo, you can put money in, and Yahoo holds the money. The NFL this year, I noticed on their site though, had a big thing in there about money and fees. I've not looked into it really good yet, but I wouldn't mind doing that with fees this year. Not to be something real expensive, like $20 max. So you got $240 total in the pool. and you pay out the top 3 places. So whoever gets first place gets half of it, 120. Second place will get 80, and the third place guy will at least get $20 extra. He'll get $40 back.
Oh, and there's money on the line. It keeps guys
interested
out halfway through the year and stuff like that.
Right. So, I mean, that's something I'm thinking about too. And also, if I can generate the things I want to do with these podcasts and the video cast, I'm willing to open up more leagues under the same name, but we'll use the number 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be, depending how many we have. And I have about 15 leagues now. So I might even drop. I don't like the ESPN leagues, to be honest with you. I don't like the scoring system. You can't manipulate it where I can with the NFL Network, because the NFL Network, and using their platform, our scores for our games will be between 2,500 and 3,500 points, because I don't play the 1 point for 25 yards passing. It's 1 point for 1 yard passing.
Right.
Plus, I have defensive players. I have 2 linemen, 2 linebackers, 2 DBs, and an individual player, and they get stats on everything that they do, from tackles, block passes, or knockdown passes, whatever, interceptions, you name it. And I play 2 quarterbacks. So you have an option on the second quarterback. You can have anything. You can have a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end, whatever you want there. But the thing to do is have another quarterback in there, because they are the ones that generally get the most points based on the settings that we
ball every play.
Yeah. And not only that, but with the quarterbacks, you get a point for every pass attempt, every reception, and you lose a half point for an incomplete pass. So you're still getting points no matter what,
Who tabulates all these stats for you?
And if the NFL Network does, it's all done.
But they tabulate all the points for each one of those things like that?
And I love their site so much, because they are like this. I mean, within 10 seconds of a play being over on television, it's registered in your scores.
Wow, I might be interested in that.
Yeah, because I don't like ESPN, because ESPN can be delayed by 10, 20 minutes. Yahoo's gotten better, but Yahoo almost every week has major changes after the games are all over.
Oh, boy.
So, I don't know what that is all about, why it's just them. But the NFL Network very rarely has a change. If anything, it may be a point or two somewhere where maybe they miscounted how many tackles somebody had, or one of those kind of things in the game.
Right.
So it is really nice, and I like that fact, and that's why I have the 2 TVs, because I've got the one set up on the red zone, so I see everybody that's on my team is playing all this place else, and if I see it on TV, I can look at my computer and look at my scores, and boom, it's going to register right there.
All right, I got you.
So it makes a lot of fun. It really does. All right, Don, you got anything for me, anything you want to talk about in particular before we kind of like close out today?
No, I think maybe we need to, maybe before the preseason starts, before they get into training camp and stuff, I wouldn't mind doing this again with you and kind of going through these draft picks one by one. I'm really kind of excited about the 2 guards they drafted, and they're not glamour positions,
right,
but I think these guys are both maulers, and I'm happy about
I
that.
was really happy with the one kid. Who the hell was it? The
Lindbergh?
Jonah Jackson from Ohio
State. Yep. Yeah, and then they drafted the kid from Kentucky right after him. But, I think they're looking for – well, I'll tell you what I'm looking for. You remember Eric Andolsek?
No.
He was the guard that was he was just a mean ass, a steamroller. And he's the guy that was I think he lived down in Louisiana or somewhere down there. And in the off season, a semi-truck went off the road and ran him over in his own yard.
Oh, wow. No kidding. I don't remember that.
Killed him. He was a Pro Bowler. Well, I think he was a Pro Bowl. I think he went to the Pro Bowl the year before that, or that year,
right,
for that off season. But he was number 65, I believe, is what his number was for Detroit back when they had Utley and they had, back around the 90, 91
Right.
playoff team. As a matter of fact, he might have been one of the starting guards on the playoff team that went to the NFC Championship game that year.
Right.
But that kid was mean, and he was violent. And they've been missing that in the middle of their line ever since he got killed.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I just think, I'm excited about these two guys because they seem like maulers, especially this Logan Stenberg from Kentucky, where apparently he scared away some people at the combine because he talked about wanting to just destroy people.
Right. I did hear that. I remember.
Yeah, and, well, shit, that's the kind of guy I want in there, man. I'll take a penalty here and there. That's why it was easy to tolerate Sue. You can take a penalty once in a while because the guy was going to destroy people, So I'm excited about these two guys. So.
No, we'll definitely do that. And I don't know, maybe not even wait that long. Maybe we can, maybe once every 3-4 weeks, we'll just catch base and see what's going on because there's always going to be news going on between now and the start of the training camp, if we have a training camp, because of the coronavirus and everything else. So, hopefully, I really hope that we get off on a good foot. I don't care if they don't play with fans, as long as we got football.
Right.
And I think it would be a lot easier to control the NFL, per se, than college is going to be able to because, man, you got, 30, 40, 50,000 kids on campus if they go back.
Sure.
Plus the players, plus the travel, plus the intercontinental travel, okay?
Right.
And I know most of the teams now all got their own charters or whatever the case may be, but, the NFL teams all got their own planes. So, I think that the NFL can control that better. I just hope that they don't get started and have a couple players come up testing positive and shut everything down again for a period of time. I just hope and pray by that time we got something going where we're able to go through it, or that this proves out to be, as they're saying, that is not as deadly as they thought it was. I mean, they're throwing cases in of people dying right now and throwing COVID-19 on that, may not really be COVID-19 patients.
Right.
So, maybe
let's hope.
Bad. Yeah, I hope so.
Let's hope. But, just wish everyone, to be happy and healthy and.
Yeah. Oh, same with me. I mean, I'm dying to get out and do stuff, and I'm seeing, that's no doubt.
Oh my God, it's killing me.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about the weather happening now is the fact that I do have my garage all reopened, my bar is all stocked, everything's good out there. TV's out in the garage, and so I'm even seeing my son more with the kids, or his girlfriend's kids, because I have a bigger yard to play in than they do at home. And but it's nice to be able to at least see somebody, other than my dog in four walls. So I'm happy for that. But let's sign off for now. We'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll come up with something else. We'll come up with a couple ideas of another show, and we'll do it from there. And I'm sure there's going to be something that's going to pop up news-wise that you and I are going to have opinion on, because we always seem to have one anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll bring it up then. All right. Okay, I'm going to sign off for now, Don. Thank you for joining me again today. And for everybody else out there, it's Rick from Dying a Detroit Lions Fan. And we will be back with y'all later on. You guys all take care. Take care, Don.
Take care.